DeShone Kizer played here in Indiana at Notre Dame, and his coach had some pretty interesting things to say about him, and I was wondering what your opinion on this is. So Brian Kelly, the head coach of Notre Dame, said that he thinks DeShone Kizer should have stayed in school. He said, and this is a quote, "He needs more football. He needs more time to grow in so many areas, not just on the field, but off the field." What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a firm believer in staying in school all the way through. I think everybody should graduate from school before they go to the NFL, the NBA, MLB, anywhere. If they choose to go to school. If they want to come out of high school, football, you can't really do that because you're not physically big enough yet. But pretty much any other sport, if you want to go out of high school, that's great. But if you go to college, I think you should finish through. And as for his on the field, off the field comment, that just, I mean, when I hear that, it makes me think of Johnny Manziel, a guy coming out of school who he has off the field issues, which with him were very clear that he had that. Kizer, I didn't really know, but when you hear things like that from a head coach, it makes you wonder, okay, what has this guy done, and why does he think he's not ready to come out yet?
See, and that's kind of the way I think too. First of all, I don't really know of any off-the-field issues with him, so it does kind of raise a red flag. And I'm wondering if it's doing the same to teams all around the league that are maybe considering picking him. I mean, Mike Mayock for NFL Network has him ranked as his #1 quarterback in this draft. I don't agree with that ranking, but that's definitely some high praise to give to Kizer. And so when you hear something like he needs to basically grow up not just on the field, but also off the field, I'm wondering what that means. You know what I mean? Is he making a dig at him, or is this maybe more of a non-issue than we think it is? Because usually you never hear a coach come out and say something critical of a player while that player is trying to basically go get a job in the NFL. Because usually coaches want to say really nice things about these guys because them getting drafted higher is a good look for that coach. So when you hear a guy come out and his best player from his team this year is going into the draft and he's kind of saying things that are pretty questionable about his character, that really makes me wonder what's going on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind these kids are in their early 20s. So, a lot of them maybe aren't mature enough. But, like I said, they're in their early 20s. So you got to keep that in mind. But like you said, it does raise red flags when your coach, who is supposed to be, supporting you, especially when you are the best player on the team, it just makes you think, okay, what is it that this guy did? Or, maybe he hasn't done anything, but he just kind of gives that feel. And is it going to affect my team if I draft him? Is he going to be able to help my team at all or hurt my team? So it's just something you got to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to me. I guess we're going to see on draft day if there's any extra stock put into Brian Kelly's words here, and if he slips in the draft whatsoever. It's also kind of hard to gauge that, though, because he's one of those guys that if he went in the top half of the first round, I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised. If he fell in the second round, maybe even early third round, I wouldn't be too shocked. He's a guy where it's really hard to gauge where he's at in the draft, so that's another reason why just a comment like this, I think it carries a lot of weight, because it's a guy who's a fringe first round to third round pick, and you're not really helping him here at all by saying this.